Hey everybody, welcome back. So I want to give you kind of a metaphor today. I want to talk about like strengths and weaknesses. I see a lot of this, and I'm guilty of this. Most of the stuff I talk about, I'm guilty of. You guys already know that. But I want to give you a metaphor. There's a lot of this is literal. There's a lot of people out there. They'll try and sell you a book, and they'll say, or anything. Buy my course. You should take this. You would get a lot better at, you should take my science course. It's applicable to everything. Everyone should know biology. And it's like, you should take my accounting course and stuff like that. And you'd be a lot better. You'll be rich if you take my accounting course, because I did. Because I wrote it and I became an accountant and I made a lot of money. Well, I fall into the trap a lot, and I think a lot of people do. It's like, well, yeah, if I got really good at accounting or really good at investing, if I became an active investor, then I can make all kinds of money. And then they'll tell you like, oh yeah, I only spent this much time doing it or whatever, But let me give you a metaphor of a house, right? So your whole life, if your life is a house, you spend your life building a house, right? You're I don't want to get too philosophical, but you're born on a foundation. You don't necessarily get to choose that, but you can till the ground, you can drag the rocks out and stuff like that. I think anyone in almost any circumstance in the U.S. can come out of whatever circumstance that is, but that's a whole other conversation. But the rest of your life, you're building a house, and at the end of your life, you have a house, and it is as good as you make it. Some people build mansions, and some people build huts, and with a house, you need a lot of things. You need a basic skill. You need a basic competence on how to build things, right? And you learn that as you go. First, you learn how to build a foundation, and then you have to build, work in the wiring and the plumbing and stuff like that, and people are there to help with that, right? But when it comes down to it, just the physical aspects, the main ingredient is wood, right? I know this is kind of a stupid metaphor, but it's all I could come up with. So you have wood. It's your main ingredient, and you need nails here and there, and you need rebar, and you need just certain things here and there to pull it all together to help the wood stand. But when it comes down to it, the amount of wood that it takes to build a house far outweighs the weight of the amount of nails. The amount of, and I know it's a really simplistic, just wood and nails. Obviously, you need a lot more to a house than that, but you need more wood than anything else. And people with skills, it's like we have our skills, like we have our strengths and our weaknesses. And a lot of the times people say, people trying to sell you things that you could use but you don't really need. Say, oh, if you just had some more nails, you could just like put these two pieces of wood together, and you wouldn't have to buy another piece of wood. But it's like, if you just had another piece of wood, sorry, I'm hearing myself talk about this, and it sounds even dumber than it did in my head, but I'm just going to go with it. It's like, you could just buy another piece of wood and just put it there. It'd be a lot cheaper, and you wouldn't need all these nails and stuff. I can't even think of a situation where this is true, but the metaphor, I'm wrong with it. Anyways, people will try and sell you more of your weaknesses. They'll say you need to work on this weakness a lot more. And I think you need a baseline level of competence across the board, right? You don't have to be an accountant, but you need to know how to manage your finances well. Doesn't matter how much, you can make $1 million a year and end up broke. People do it all the time. So you need a baseline level of competence. You don't need to be an investor, an actively managed investor checking stock markets every day and night to be able to grow your money at a pretty reliable rate. You just need a baseline level of knowledge, right? And those are the nails, and that's the paint, and those are the tiles. You accumulate these skills, but that's when it comes down to it. You have these massive strengths, your career, right? The things that you're really, really good at, and if you just build on those, it's exponentially better than building on your weaknesses. Once you have that baseline level, you're pretty good at managing your finances, and you know how to grow your money, so you should focus on growing your income. If you're really good at marketing, don't get your CPA degree and become an accountant if you're a lot better at marketing. So try and put it in numbers. if 80% of your income comes from your strength, from marketing, say, and you double your skill every 5 years that you put into it. So you double your income. If you make $100,000 a year and you double that 5 years later, you're making, instead of $80,000 from marketing, you're making $160,000, right? That other $20,000, say you make from consulting for, I don't know, accounting, you know, or say you're an artist on the side. You like art. It's a good pastime. You're way better at marketing, but it's still fun to do, and you can get paid. And you make $20,000 a year with art. And if you spent 5 years focusing on doubling your skill in art, then you're making, instead of 160, I'm losing it, 80, 160,000, you know, you're making $80,000 extra. You would make $20,000 extra, you know? And this is applicable in social settings too. It's like, I'm better. I enjoy and I'm more comfortable when there are less people around, you know, with just 1, 2, or 3 people around. That's where I feel kind of at home, you know. Some people are like Jim Carrey. They're the class clown. They love being in groups of people, and they're hilarious, and they tell great stories, and they command people, you know, and I love being around those people. I'm not that guy, you know. I'm never going to be Jim Carrey, and if I put enough work into it, maybe I could one day. But if I put the same amount of work into something I'm already good at, then, you know, it's not like I'm dysfunctional in a crowd. And that's kind of the point. It's like, you don't have to not work on your weaknesses. You have baseline competence. I can survive in a crowd. It's fine to have a good time. But I would much rather read a book on interpersonal communication, on how people communicate and how people, you know, build trust, and how people read each other's facial expressions, things that, nuances that you don't really get in a big social setting, rather than a book on public speaking. You know, maybe I do need a baseline level of competence in public speaking. It would probably help, because I'm going to be put in a situation once in a while where I'm having to speak in front of a lot of people. I already have, but I don't have to prepare and get good enough to where I can speak to 5,000 people at once, because that's probably never going to happen. So yeah, I mean, you guys probably get the point by now. I don't want to belabor it. But that's basically just think about the things that you're working on, the skills that you're developing, in proportion to your strengths and your weaknesses. They should be proportional, you know. Just make sure you're not, if you're in marketing, don't become an accountant. If you're an investor, don't go into painting, you know, like, we have you guys get it. I'm belaboring the point again. I do that. But anyways, thanks for listening. Let me know what you guys think, if I could do anything better, because I know this is kind of, obviously I haven't worked on my weakness as a cameraman, or a video editor, which is why I do these all in one take. So maybe I could use a little work there, but anyways, thanks for watching anyways. Let me know, feedback, questions, comments, you know, let me know what you think, and I'll see you next week.